Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Mouth of the Tyne, Full-Tyne Whistle. Today we're discussing Fulham versus Newcastle, joined by Neil and Joe from Twitter, NUFC Twitter, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me again tonight. How are you doing?
Good, mate. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah. All the better after that result yesterday, man. Finally, we've got a win to talk about on the show tonight.
Long time coming, but it was well worth the wait.
Yeah, man. Well, we missed the first game of the season. Didn't have the channel up and running then, so we couldn't get to discuss the Nottingham Forest win. Tonight, obviously, we get to discuss our first win. So let's get into it. 4-1 victory for the Toon last night. Yesterday afternoon against Fulham. Little bit of a hard one to decide how it would have gone if we didn't get Fulham sent down to 10 men. Obviously, that was a big factor in the game, but it's what can I say? We played really well. You can only, deal with the hand that you dealt, and we did it really well. A lot of times that drop down to when you're playing someone who has 10 men, they tend to sit deep, and it's really hard to break them down. But we smashed them yesterday. A little analogy that I was using, it was like a boa constrictor toying with a rat. It was very much high press, squeezing them. They couldn't get out their own half. It was brilliant to watch. To be honest, I didn't care that we were playing 10 men. All I wanted yesterday was the result, victory, and we got that, man. So yeah, let's jump straight in. Just kind of give us your thoughts on the game, guys. Who wants to go first? Neil, Joe? Do you want to go first?
Or me? Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah. Yesterday was brilliant. In fact, we've been crying out for that win after 5 draws in a row. I've been waiting to come on the show dead after a win. It's nice we get to do it now. One thing that sums up yesterday, right? And I think you might have picked up on it yesterday on Twitter as well, is did you see the boys when we conceded?
Yeah.
Did you see how Botman throwing stuff around? He was absolutely fuming that we've conceded. Fuming. And that is, we wouldn't have had that last season, the season before, maybe on the back end of last season, of course, but we haven't seen the passion. Kieran Trippier, I can't speak highly enough of him. He is absolutely world class, and he again has shown why he should be the England starting right back and our club captain. It's a discussion for another time, but you can just see the leadership and the skill that he just makes everything tick in our team. And yesterday is what we needed. We needed a drubbing of a team, because I don't know, there was a discussion on Twitter, and I'm a little bit 50-50 with it. If we had lost yesterday or we have drawn, do you think he would have come under some pressure? It's a big discussion on Twitter. I think personally he would have come under some serious pressure if we didn't win yesterday.
I think it was building. Yeah, I think it was building. I think the team have been playing. They've been playing well. Let's be honest, but we've been getting draws. We haven't had that cutting edge. I mean, but you could feel that they knew that it was a key moment within the season, and it's interesting about it was a red card all day. He didn't need to go in that high, that strong of a challenge onto Longstaff that early on in the game. And when he went to VAR, I think he would have got away with a yellow card if it hadn't gone to VAR, because the referee had a good line of sight of it. I think for once Mike Dean did us a favour, which is, I thought I'd never ever say that. But we were pressing them from the first minute. We were pushing them, and we were pinning them back. Do you remember Barcelona probably about 7 or 8 years ago? They were hunting in packs of 3. Yeah. They were hunting for the ball in 2s and 3s, and they were pinning them back already, which is why Chalobah and I didn't think I'd ever say this, but that Longstaff, Willock, and Bruno midfield was really balanced.
They were.
It was pushing forward. So because it was really balanced, I think Chalobah felt like he had to do something, and that game was lost in midfield yesterday. They just let Bruno have so much space. But, apart from Miggy and apart from Bruno, who was excellent, I mean, the dinked ball for Miggy's goal was outstanding. It was unbelievable. But you're right. Trippier showed pure leadership, Joe.
Yeah.
Absolutely pure leadership. I don't know if you saw after the third goal, he was still imparting instructions.
Yes.
So everybody's celebrating, and you see in the background, I don't know if you mentioned it, Ben. I don't know if you said it, or I saw something on Twitter that he's still imparting instructions in the background.
Yeah, I retweeted that. I don't know who said it, but I saw that and retweeted it today. Yeah.
But Joe, I don't know if you've got an opinion on it, but Trips' delivery is just top drawer.
It's obviously, as we know, I'm a little bit younger, so the era of our fantastic players was as I was growing up as a kid and starting more focusing on playing football than watching Newcastle. Obviously, I was a Newcastle fan. I went to some of the games as a youngster, but you could never really grasp your head around supporting a football club and watching it week in, week out. But as I've got older, from probably the age of about 13, 14 upwards, of watching Newcastle week in, week out, not playing as much football and focusing on learning football, I don't, for me, feel that I've seen anyone with a better delivery and better like a complete footballer that has played for us. That includes playing ability, leadership. You guys might have seen others that have, but for me, he is the most complete footballer that I've seen in a Newcastle shirt in my sort of years of supporting Newcastle.
Not on that side of the pitch. I think Sean Casey mentioned it in one of his tweets that having Trips pushing forward on the right hand side,
I see that,
is actually really integral to our play. So it might look lopsided as a back four at any one time because we've probably got three people. Although Byrne was galloping forward like a gazelle. I'm trying to think of a word of I don't want to say giraffe. I'm definitely not going to say telescopic legs because that does my head in every time I hear it on the commentary. But isn't it weird seeing Byrne overlap?
Yeah.
It's so weird. But Trips is so important. How far forward he gets, it's amazing. And he's got that relationship with Miggy down pat.
Yeah, he has. It was really noticeable yesterday. I mean, in other games when Burns played that left back role, like you said, we've seen the diagram that Sean posted yesterday with Trippier much higher than the left-sided fullback, which in our case was Burn yesterday. But I would like to see I didn't really take much notice of the left. I maybe should have looked a bit better, but I like to see how far Burn was pushing on because it looked like he was spending most of the time in their half. The overlaps were absolutely phenomenal. Obviously his delivery wasn't there. You're not going to get the same delivery of target as target, but as an outlet, he was really providing a great option. And he has got some speed on him. I know we sometimes, give him a little bit of stick sometimes when he gets caught on the turn. I mean, it is quite rare. It's once every 4 or 5 games you might see him get caught out. But which leads us to kind of think sometimes, has he got a little bit of pace lacking? But yesterday, he was tearing down that left wing like Usain Bolt at times.
Yeah.
It was a joy.
I've been critical of Dan Burn. I think as a local boy, I think us fans are more critical on, say, the likes of Dan Burn and a Sean Longstaff, they're Geordie boys.
Yeah.
But he showed yesterday that he very much has that England quality versatility. Yeah. I know he won't get picked, as we all know. He won't see anywhere near the England setup, but he has showed why he can play on the left, play in central defence, and still do a fantastic and Premier League worthy job.
Yeah,
I'll tell you another. Maybe not born in Newcastle, but lifelong Newcastle fan that has come under fire from me. He's had pelters. I actually don't think he did that badly yesterday. I think he did really well. Jacob Murphy.
Yeah.
He was quite incisive. He was quite clean with his touches. He drove into space. He put it on on a plate a few times for a couple of our players. He put through balls in left, right, and centre.
Mm-hmm.
He got. I always moan about this about wingers getting chalk on the boots. He was quite close to the touchline. You know, he was crossing in, not as high as we wanted him to be at most times, but lots of low crosses. The boy did good.
Yeah, he was excellent. I mean, I think we all saw the lineup, and you know, there was a lot of optimism before the game. We thought, could Alan be back? He didn't get off the bus, so it was a slight feeling of disheartenment before the game. And especially when we saw Murphy, you know, it's like I said, we've always said it's nothing personal. It's great that the guy grew up supporting us. Like, I love that side of his kind of, you know, who he is as a person. But like we say, the final ball just hasn't been there this season, and hasn't been there for previous seasons either. And it doesn't look like, you know, it's going to improve anytime soon. But as an outlet yesterday, he did cause a lot of. He linked up well with Willock. I thought the interchangeable play between them two was awesome. You know, some nice intricate passing, trying to kind of weave our way through the Fulham defense, and it was just it was a great performance. I was looking at the Chronicle ratings of everybody today, and I don't think anybody got less than an 8, which kind of sums it up. You know, it was all 9s and 8s, and I thought, yeah, man, that's what we want. We kind of set the bar there, and yes, it was against 10 men, but that's the kind of level what we need to perform. And even when we've got players like you said there, Sean Longstaff and you know, Willock coming in with Jacob Murphy, these squad players, if we can get them playing like this week in, week out, then we'll be all right. You know what I mean? It's like I had a few worries a couple of weeks back when the window closed, and I just didn't feel we had that kind of strength in depth that we should have for an assault on Europe, maybe. But if they're coming in to perform at that level, even Miggy, you know, I was a bit sceptical at the start of the season. He's been great in 2022, but still, regarding his end product, I was very sceptical at the start of the season. And we've seen it already so far. He scored 3 goals this season. So, you know, this is the kind of output we need from these wingers and attacking midfielders. And I just hope we can sustain it over the course of a season, or at least until January, when we can improve it some more. But just to jump quickly back to what Joe said a few minutes ago about would Eddie have been under pressure if we had lost yesterday? It's a difficult one to answer, and I'm not sure if he would have been under pressure, but I'm certain that we would have been very glass half empty in the fact that our outlook would have been it's been a relatively poor, or you know, a very poor start to the season, because essentially it would have been 1 win in 8. Luckily, it's, you know, we've getting 2 wins and now 5 draws and only 1 defeat. So it's very glass half full at this stage. We can keep relying on the 1 defeat line, which obviously sounds great the further you get into the season, to be able to say you've only been beaten once so far, and that was from Liverpool. Really must give the lads confidence. But I do think it is still a very fine line, and obviously it is early days of the season. So, you know, you always get that kind of little bit of reactionary, you know, commentary on it. It's really impossible to tell at this stage if anyone's going to have a really good or bad season. Although City look like they're going to have a good season.
I know, but our point looks like good value versus them now.
It does.
Because we're 3-1 up at one point. Our point looks
really good. Yeah,
we're one of the only teams that's given them a game so far this season.
There's one comment that keeps flying around, and it's this 10 against 10 man or 10 men comment, right?
Yeah.
But what is completely different is you look back to us against 10 men Everton and then beating us 1-0 Iwobi late on, versus us against 10 men Fulham only a few months later, and we punish them. We don't sit off like we did, trying to slowly break them down, thinking, yeah, they'll make a mistake, they won't catch us on the break. They did. Where this time we were on the front foot, we were pressing, like you say, in packs of 3 up in their face, which is something we've only started to see this season under Eddie Howe. And if we can keep the numbers up, the pressing numbers and the stats of winning the ball back and stuff like that are phenomenal. We've got the best defensive record in the Premier League. And when would we have thought that? And all it's taken is Dan Burn, Botman. The biggest one was...
It's a good unit. I wouldn't have put them down
massive.
on paper, Joe. If someone said, you've been taken over by, and you're going to be the richest club in the world, put this defence together, I probably never would have. Probably would have had Trippier, maybe.
I would have said Trippier. Would have said Trippier, yes, perfect. Get him in alongside Shah. But you go, a kid that will be, well, I think he's phenomenal. You got a kid coming from France, playing for Lille, that he's just going to absolutely he's going to be an absolute rock. And you go Dan Burn. I don't want to even
say that he's a Rolls Royce defender now, but he kind of looks like one.
He seriously does. He looks tip top.
He's that sort of player, Joe, when you used to play back in the day, the jammy player that always gets something on it when you go up against them. He's just fantastic. But sorry, mate, carry on.
Oh, no, that old school centre forward, and but he's got like you say, that old school centre forward, but he's modernised it in his own game where he's just really good carrying the ball out. He finds that pass that we've been missing. Shah tries it. It comes off now and then, but Shah's always got one mistake in him. I haven't seen that in Botman yet, and I was on that bandwagon. I've really wanted him in, but it will take him time to get used to the Premier League, maybe even a season. But I think he's made the left centre half spot his own, and has made Dan Burn go, right, okay, I've got to move Target out to get in this team, otherwise I'm going to struggle. And I think that's fantastic. I think he's brilliant.
I think
he's phenomenal.
It was definitely tactical yesterday. I feel like Eddie wanted to bring in Botman, but just couldn't find it in his heart to drop Burn. And I'm sure that's what it was, because a lot of people before the game were like, what's happening here? Like, what's Target done? And, even the journals were actually going ahead with the tweets saying Target was injured. They couldn't wrap their head around it as soon as they saw the team, probably before they saw the subs. They couldn't seem to understand that Target was, dropped because of, just nothing he'd done, just purely to accommodate Burn at left back because he'd been playing so well. And it does give a really good balance to the team, like we just said earlier on. It's kind of like you end up with like the three centre backs and Trippier almost having like a free role. And a lot of our attacks did actually come down the right, especially in that first half. It was very noticeable, but because Fulham had 10 men, there was nothing they could really do about it. Usually if a team is constantly attacking down one side of the pitch, the opposition will kind of maybe change or something to rectify, this outlet. But because Fulham were a man short, ultimately we kept pushing ahead with it. There's nothing they could do to stop us. But yeah, so it was fascinating to watch. I
love how we were ruthless, and I bet you. I mean, we had 19 shots, and 10 of them were on target. I think that's what.
Yeah, I think they. Yeah.
But Wilson hit the post when really he should have put that one away. He scuffed the shot.
Botman hit the post.
Botman hit the post, but then we scored off that with Longstaff. But you could say Miggy and Fraser, who've probably got the pace to get in behind, if they just held themselves that fraction of a second, they're in as well. I bet Eddie Howe was really pleased with how ruthless we were. I bet he was very disappointed we're not keeping a clean sheet. I bet he wanted more. First thing he probably will say when the cooling down today was, you could have had more. We could have really put them to the swords.
I think we slacked off a little bit in the second half, especially when the changes were starting to be made. It was very much
Carney made a difference for them, Ben. Carney settled the game down for them.
Yeah, he did. But yeah, just to bring it back again to something what Joe said about the high pressing there before. Saw the stat last week, not this week, but last week, that we had the most effective, highest press in the league. There's other teams that do it, but we were the most effective at actually winning the ball and then also being progressive with it and moving it forward after that. Which, it's something that we're getting kind of these levels now where we're actually getting these stats that are with the top of the high press league. You know what I mean? What was the other one? We just the defense. With a kind of I forget what it was, but we had the third least amount of away goals conceded, and we were up there as well with the we had the least of amount of away goals conceded and the third amount of goals overall. And it was like, these stats are like phenomenal. Yes, we're only a few games in, but I think it's crept up on everybody how effective this high press is and how effective our defense is. It's like this is like you're up there with top 6 levels. If this can be maintained over the course of the season, then maybe we will get Europe. Who knows?
And that's the thing, we've got to maintain it. If we go back a year, go back 365 days under Bruce, right? We'd lost 2-1 to Wolves, I think it was, which was awful for me living in Wolverhampton and my brother being a Wolves fan. But I always get pelters. Now I left a little dig in today about Bruno unfortunately losing his job.
Yeah.
But anyway, we didn't have any identity. We wouldn't have known what a high press was. Bruce probably would have thought he was using a high press to iron his shirts.
Yeah.
But absolutely ridiculous. We had no identity, and you couldn't see it coming. If you said, okay, what's the philosophy of football here? You wouldn't have been able to give anybody an answer.
He didn't know himself, which is the worst part. And you literally say 365 days ago, today, we had there was tiny little rumblings going on behind the scenes that something might have just picked up again. And all of us started talking about it. And it's literally 5 days. 5 days. Literally. Yeah, it was. That's I just see it. And I was like, I was always a firm believer. I was talking to Ben in the DMs. I was like, this will happen. This will come to fruition. But how quick it was over that period from seeing, wasn't it what got it started rumbling again was the flight list?
Yeah,
was the names. Yeah, everyone just saw that a couple of days before it went off, and we were like, something's going on here.
Oscar messaged me about a week or so, but all the way through, Oscar was saying, "Yeah, this is happening. This is happening." And that was on the. I think that was on the before. He just said, there's something moving, money's moving or something, because he always followed the money. And he said, something's happening. And then I think I was in a meeting actually all day in London. I couldn't get any signal. I always periodically check my tweets all the time. And I couldn't get any, I'd not checked anything all day. And then all of a sudden I was going through, just like tons of tweets. I'm like, what have I missed here? Because you can always tell when there's loads in the feed. Scroll up. And about 2 million tweets down, there was the list. I was like, geez, what's happening? Something's happening.
It was special. And you think that's a year ago.
I know, man. Look how far we've come. I think what we'll have to do is maybe next week, we'll do like a special kind of show on it, and just like we'll really get into how we were feeling at the time, and we'll can't wait to just kind of roll it back and
this one. Can I tell you the real reason why we won? First game of the season, I wore my lucky shirt. You probably won't be able to see it. Right?
There it is.
Couldn't find it for weeks.
And you wore it yesterday.
I found it Friday, dug it through my whole wardrobe, found it, got to find this shirt, put it on, walking around Alton Towers, streaming the match. And then I turned around to my son and said, it's a lucky fit. It's a lucky shirt, mate. It's a lucky shirt.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks for that one, Neil. You did us a good
Exactly. This Joe Linton comment right here.
Yeah. I was going to touch on it.
Yeah. Did you see the stat that was posted on Twitter the other day about Joe Linton being the most well-rounded centre midfielder in the league?
Yeah,
I did. See that?
Yeah, I saw that one.
The little graph that he's
got. The little graph. Yeah.
Highest defensive, or not at like what do I put it? It's the most well-rounded, isn't it? Because he wasn't the highest for defensive stats, but he wasn't the highest for offensive stats. Yeah, as where you look in the graph for the person that's got the most of both worlds. Yeah, and I was thinking 40 million for a striker. Yeah, turns into stats don't lie, unfortunately. No, some may say he is statistically the most all-round midfielder obviously this season. We're not talking. And I personally at the moment was thinking, if he's out of the team, we're going to struggle. If we lose one of him or Bruno, we're going to struggle. And yesterday, it was nice to have I say nice because it would have been nice to have him on the pitch, but it was good to see that we could have him wrapped up in cotton wool, ready to go again for Brentford, which he probably might not even get in the squad now, like the starting 11 for Brentford now.
After they played, how would you? I thought this about 60 minutes in. I thought, where would Joe fit in here? Because actually, they're playing really, really well. And even though people think that Joe's a destroyer because of the size of him, he's actually such a great carrier of the ball. He turns in tight spaces. He draws 2 or 3 people towards him and creates space for other players like Bruno. But I wouldn't have taken Willock out or Sean Longstaff. I didn't think I'd say that. But it's horses for courses, isn't it?
This is the kind of dilemma that we kind of want to have, don't we? Like Eddie kind of just, really having to think hard to pick who's going to be in the team. But yeah, Joe Linton, man, like I said it a few times in previous shows and in the months previous as well, but the word hybrid suits him so well because that's ultimately just exactly what it is, what he is. It's like he's just as good at bringing the ball forward as he is running back the other way to make the tackle, win the ball, and then start off the attack again. And, it's like, and you say like for 40 million, there's players that would maybe cost 50, 60 million now if you're wanting someone as dynamic as that. And it's just the one.
More. And Harry's not had a call up to the Brazilian squad when Fred's come in.
It's got to be coming.
It's a Tete who's in charge. He still doesn't even start Bruno every single game anyway. So there's been a lot of, talk behind the scenes.
But Paqueta does.
Yeah.
Have you seen him play though? He's been anonymous, I think.
Yeah, well, apparently he was a bit better yesterday. I saw a little compilation clip of him yesterday. But again, these compilation clips, they can be made to be either way. You can make
anyone looks fantastic. Yeah.
Or anyone looks terrible. Yeah. So they made him look great yesterday. But I did hear in previous matches that he looked a bit anonymous. And but we need Bruno starting every week for Brazil. Well, every match for Brazil, because at the minute to have somebody of that caliber that's not quite a nailed on starter. He does start some games, but not every match. And I was reading a lot of comments on the Brazil Twitter yesterday, just saying like, why isn't this guy starting him every single match for Brazil? And so I think it's coming. I think in the World Cup he'll start pretty much every game. But again,
just listen. Just listen. Replay what you've just said in your head.
Yeah.
A Newcastle player starting games for Brazil in the World Cup. Nuts.
And I'd say arguably he'll be one of the
this
best
is where we are going.
Playing in that World Cup. Mighty Mag makes a good point about the stats as well. Didn't we bring a stats guy in quite recently?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we had a new appointment. I think it was nice to see Anderson get 30 minutes as well, rather than 5 minutes and 5 minutes there.
Just the one below. I think he is going to be. Well, it's hard to say now because obviously we don't get to see him as much as some of us would like to call for. I got some serious stick. I'm not sure if any of you saw it for putting him in my Newcastle team, the team that I would put out. Everyone was hounding me, saying that he's nowhere near the level that we should be starting. Like this player. He's not up to Fraser or anyone's standard just yet. He's a kid. I feel that this Anderson, this young man, if you put some faith in him, and the only way you're going to be able to do it is by throwing him in the deep end, because the more and more you reserve a player, Arsenal done it with their youngsters, Martinelli. They took him from the second tier in Brazil, and now he's a starter in the Premier League week in, week out, because they took the risk and they threw him in. We might not be at the position where Arsenal can do that and throw players in because they know they're going to be around the top 5 anyway. But here's our chance. We're playing well. Here's our chance. Fulham, the likes of Fulham and Brentford and the teams that we now should be sort of beating around. Obviously, we want to be aiming for the sort of 10, 9, 8, just below Europe. Obviously, if we can scrape Europe, then fantastic. But these teams we should now be beating. Why not throw against a Bournemouth or a Fulham, Elliot Anderson, go and show us what you can do. And then we've always got a Murphy who played well, a Fraser to come off the bench. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
Or
I agree.
Standard Premier League players to bring off the bench if it's not working. And then
Yeah.
I don't think he's shown that he's wanting in any game that he's been brought on. I don't know if you've listened to some of the comments that he said in interviews, but he said a few times where he's trying to show the manager trust, so he trusts him more and more to get that start. So Elliot must feel that whilst Howe does trust him, he doesn't trust him enough to play a pivotal part in a match yet or get a start. But I think he definitely needs to be put in the deep end. I actually think he's going to get a run in a cup game. He'll start in a cup game. He'll show exactly what he can do in 90 minutes, and then he'll be feeding himself more in the team.
When do we play Palace?
It's November. I think is it November the 9th or something like that.
Early November.
Yeah, something like that.
That's a long way to wait, though, I suppose.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm thinking. You got obviously in the bit parts that he's played, 20 minutes here, or which was nice to see him, like you say, get a little bit longer of 32 minutes. I think it was something like that, which is really like I think he's 19, isn't he? 19 years of age.
Just got 19, yeah.
Just
I think he needs
19.
20 to 30 minutes every single match, if not minimum. He needs that because
he's shown he can be the most creative player. Yeah, exactly that. He's shown that he can be the most creative player on the pitch when he does. Who did he come on against?
Was it Palace?
Palace.
He's trying to do something after the injustice of that Willock call. But by the way, I do think Willock is going to start scoring a shed load. His XG is up there.
The any old good striker, as you tap the ball home. But there was a debate going on if Willock's one was going in or not, and I do believe it was. Which would have been nice for him to get a goal. But Wilson's got to do what he's got to do as a striker, isn't he?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And just rolling it back to Anderson there, it's the energy when he comes on, man. He's got so much energy, and it's great at the minute as an option, for the final 20 minutes of a game. But like you said there, Joe, if you switch it round and actually have him as the starter, and then like a Fraser or Murphy coming on after that, I mean, it would be nice to see, wouldn't it? Just like really see what Anderson can do, because when he comes on, the cameos, he's not coming on and people are like, oh yeah, he was quite anonymous. He's like literally like just running about the pitch, bad, and it's strength as well for someone who's only 19. I think that's why he gets these comparisons to like Barkley and stuff like that, because he was a very similar kind of player when he was about that age. Obviously, he's tailed off in his career massively in the last couple of years, but when he was at his peak, it was very, very similar player.
He's not risk averse. He takes risks, but they're always quite calculated risks. He doesn't lose the ball that often. When he takes a risk, it's usually to try and get into a position where we can get something from it. Either it's where we can lay the ball off for a pass, or try and get a cross in, or we get a corner off it. He's always trying to move that ball forward, which is what I really like about the kid.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's something a little bit further away from the playing side, and it's what I've noticed a little bit more with Elliot Anderson and youngsters at the game, right? So this is a little bit I'm coming away from of him on the pitch sort of here. When he does come onto the pitch, right, and being so young and a Geordie boy himself, I know he gets called up for Scotland, but if you listen to him speak, he's literally through and through.
And I think he wants to come and play for England. Actually,
I've heard rumours that he wants to be a full-time England player rather than Scotland. But he gives younger fans hope, and that's one thing I've seen when Elliot Anderson steps on the pitch and he's taking on Tariq Mitchell straight off the bat. There's younger kids there with a smile on his face. All these fans that were next to me at Crystal Palace with a smile on their face, got like their dad's tapping them, going, "That could be you. Look, that's a 19-year-old boy." And just as soon as he got onto the ball, the roar from the fans when he was taking on the Crystal Palace players, just going, "This kid is something special," and he adopts what it is to be a Geordie boy fan. That all lads are sitting there thinking, I could be the next Elliot Anderson, and that is massive. And we haven't had that in a long while for us. Being Sean Longstaff and Matty Longstaff, they're obviously Matty's tailed off a little bit. I don't know what happened there because he was getting called the best technical player in the club by the likes of Jetro Willems and stuff like that. Don't know what's happened there. But Sean Longstaff's a little bit older now. So when he first broke into the team, when he was 19, 18, he was that sort of, I'd love to be the next Sean Longstaff and stuff like that. And now it's all about Elliot Anderson. And that is what molds a superstar. And that's where he can be world-class for us.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
I was just going to say that the focus on youth is really, it's fantastic that we've got such a focus on the youth and they want to try and develop all the local club ties to get local talent into the club. Your point, Joe, is brilliant because one of the things that you've alluded to but didn't say about Elliot Anderson is that he's really grounded. It looks like the kid's really grounded. And if you think about all of these people that we brought in, stuff that they're saying about Isaac, they're saying Isaac is, he's a quiet lad. He's really mature for his age. He's not loud and brash, and I don't want to say Grealish, but I'm gonna. Right, he's not like that type of player. These guys they know what they want. They're prepared to work hard. They're teachable. They're coachable. They want to improve. They want to be the best. But there's no airs and graces about them. And I even think with this other kid as well that we've just got, Garang. I think he's going to be another one. His mum and dad had to wash the kits for him to play and pay the fees. He knows exactly what he needs to do.
His attitude really, really stands out. I mean, we've all seen the video clips of him scoring a couple of goals, and he does look like a great player, especially for his age. But he's kind of just like who he is as a young lad. It absolutely smacks you in the face that he's so humble, he's so grounded, but yet so ambitious. I'm really excited about Garang. Yeah. I feel like
I can't believe he's got loyalty points already. It's ridiculous.
No.
But that again, like the kid seeing that on Twitter, he's just turned 18. He's like 18 and like I think 22 days or something like that. It's crazy. Like you say, Ben, the way he presents himself in that interview, coming over here is technically right. I know we've agreed to sign. We haven't technically signed the boy yet. If I know when it's all published and everything like that, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
But for him to come to Craven Cottage in the away fans as an 18-year-old boy, right, who's just signed for Newcastle, it could go into your head massively. I've come from Australia. I'm the next big thing to come out of Australia. I've made my international debut. I'm this sort of Jack the lad, but it's not there. Every character we have at the club now is exactly what Eddie Howe wants, and I think the best thing about it is it even got Alain Saint-Maximin to mellow out because he was under Bruce. He was a little bit like, I'll fake an injury and I won't play for a little while and I'll do what I've got to do.
I think there's definitely an element of that going on, wasn't there, with Alan at certain stages? Yeah,
massively. And now he's injured. Yeah. Yes, he's got his little side venture from football. Yeah. But he's allowed to do his passion that is this board game. But then you see the clips of him working so hard when he's gone to France. When he's taken time out to get himself fit and ready, where we wouldn't have seen that. We wouldn't have seen him out for 3 months and he would come back and then he'll play a couple games and then he'll be out for the next 2 and then come back. Where now
the mindset he looked unfit. Joe, when he came back under Bruce, he didn't look as fit. No. Now he looks lean. He always used to take ASM about 2 or 3 games to get back into the swing of things when he came back from injury. But actually, he looks like he's good to go straight away. I mean, I thought he looked a little bit leggy at times when he was playing against Wolves, but then he just picked it up in the second half. So his fitness, where he was lagging at, remember he used to lag at 70 minutes.
He never made a pass there very often, did he? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting, and you're completely right about the. from the A League. One of the things that I think is that we've got quality on our side. So they've brought in characters that want to work hard, that are ambitious, Joe, like you said, that are humble, but they also see that there's quality in the team. So if they don't start grinding in training, they've got no chance of getting in. But the characters that we brought in are ones that relish that challenge.
Yeah. And the next part after this game, I'm not sure how many of you are on Instagram as well and follow our players on Instagram and stuff like that. The unity these players have at the moment is unbelievable. Yeah. Like all of them, I think everyone that was involved yesterday put the exact same thing on Instagram, pretty much saying back to winning ways and stuff like that. All of them. Sven Botman absolutely adores this club.
Yeah, you can see he does. You can see he does.
Bruno Guimaraes absolutely adores this club. Trippier absolutely adores it, and it's all because how much all we've wanted, and I think it was very much summed up pretty early after the takeover happened. War Flag's done all we want is a team that tries, and all we were willing to do was we will put 110% of our love for every single one of these players if they just prove to us that they want to play for our club and not just be part-timers under Bruce.
Yeah,
totally. And they've adopted that, and then our love for them has just grown even more, and then they're playing for the best fans in the world, in my personal opinion, and they're just relishing it absolutely more and more and more and more.
We hear it a lot. We hear about the characters. Sorry, Ben. We hear it a lot when we're trying to recruit, and everybody hears rumors, and we're going to go for this player or that player, and then we hear comments later on saying, "Oh, well, we did talk to this player, but actually they didn't pass the check." I don't know if it was Elliot or if it was you, Joe, that said that we did talk to a certain player, but they didn't actually like his attitude. They didn't pass the check.
Grillicic,
you can see that character now all the way through.
Grillicic. Yeah, I never heard that one. Yeah.
Who was the player, Joe?
Grillicic, that was it. This centre midfielder that we were literally us and Brighton. Obviously, he was going to sign for. There was loads of different. He had not contract offers, but he had probably about 3 teams that were literally that we were ready to send that contract through, or we were getting to that stage. And then the more and more we spoke to him, it was like, no, actually, he's not going to fit the bill. He wants too much money here, and he's got, and it's a lot to do with, and it's more common in footballers that have their family as their agents. So it's his own mum who's his agent. So she does all of the negotiating. She needs to be there, and she's asking for crazy amounts of money. She was asking for him. Bearing in mind, he played at Hoffenheim, right? He's a fantastic player, don't get me wrong, but he weren't setting the world alight to be what they were asking for. They were asking for 180 grand a week, and no one's gonna turn around and be like, yeah, well, us and Brighton just said, look, if this is how negotiations are going to go, we'll pass you on. Then he was rumored to sign for like a Galatasaray or someone like that, and then Ajax just finally in the last few days said, yeah, we'll take you wherever you need, because Edson Alvarez could leave, could not, and then turned out he didn't, and now they're playing together.
I had a feeling all summer that there was something with Grillicic that everybody was saying, oh, why hasn't anybody signed him? Like, why? Mm-hmm. And it went on all summer. This, like, why is a player of this caliber a free agent like all summer? So I think that ties in nicely with what you're saying there, Joe, that there was obviously issues with lots of clubs that were like, look, we're not paying these ridiculous wages. But man,
some players just ask for some funny things, didn't they? And that's what we want. Apparently, when you talk to people behind the scenes, Isak's negotiations were like that, done. He was ready to go completely, and it's been the same with the players we've signed, like the likes of Bruno. He wanted in straight away. And he
it's the difficult ones. We should know when it's difficult. It's just probably not the player that we need. As a unit.
I 100% agree with that, and I think in January you'll see Maddison tied up pretty quickly. Once we get the fee agreed, get the fee agreed, I'm pretty sure Maddison, because he's such a nice guy. As a player, he's such a nasty player, right? I hate when we play against him because he's got that streak of winning fouls and getting into our players' heads and winning the games.
But you'd love him on your team.
Yeah, you would massively.
He's got that Joey Barton, mind my language, shithouse.
Yeah. And he's got that character. I don't know if any of you saw the interview the other day.
Yeah,
where they were talking about not getting into the England squad. Yeah, and the interview, it was just trying to get into his head, rile him up a little bit, and he was like, "No, so I won't pick for the England squad. I know it's understandable. I'll work harder next time." And it's just like, that is exactly what we need. Another fantastic character and an even better footballer.
Yeah, and I think as well he's with the agency CAA base, which we've got and Wood, and there was a new kid that was on trial the other day, Diallo, for the reserves. He's part of them that agency too. So I feel like we're obviously working with them. And they'll be suggesting players to us, and I just think it always makes things go smoother if there's multiple players with the same agent or agency at your club. So I think we'll get Maddison in. I really do. Leicester are going to have a really poor season. I have a really bad feeling about their season. So I think he'll be ready for the next challenge, especially with them not getting called up to England, and they'll be looking at his teammates Trippier and Pope and thinking, oh, actually, whereas in the past all eyes maybe weren't on Newcastle. Now it looks as though they are. So let's hope that he comes in. All right, we'll move on, guys, to somebody who we can't end this show without speaking about. Wor Miggy. What a goal yesterday! What a fantastic performance from Miggy. He was my man of the match. Was he your guys' man of the match?
100%. Could have got a hat trick.
He wasn't mine personally.
Oh, that's really nice.
But he was very, very, very close. He was very close. He was up there. He was in the running. My man of the match personally was Joe Willock.
Yeah, he was good.
He done absolutely everything right under the radar because he didn't score, so no one screams. But he got 2 assists. The second one for Miggy's second goal, where the ball's just come in, he's driven and laid that ball right on a sixpence, right to Miggy to tap it in. I think he done absolutely everything right, and that's the Joe Willock that we've needed. Yeah.
He's very dangerous when he's coming in from that left-hand side, a bit like what he did for Bruno's headed goal in the Leicester game at St James's Park. That kind of drive into the box and then just flicking it across the box, and and obviously Miggy finished it off just like Bruno did. So
but he was having a lot of fun, and I don't know if you saw it. I think it was high 90s his pass completion rate. I'm pretty sure it was mid 90s. He had some really key passes. I mean, you're all right. He had a mixture of tracking back. I think there was one incident where he lost the ball on the edge of the box and then tracked back and nicked the ball off someone's toes. So Longstaff could pick it up.
Did he do a nutmeg on someone as well? I'm sure he nutmegged somebody yesterday.
Did you see where he pulled the ball behind his foot as well? I think he just did the track back and after. He was having fun.
He done the simple. He done the simple and the how do you put it? He done the dirty side of the game away from the spotlight very, very well yesterday. And I think he is a player that's come under a lot of pressure at the moment, where he's not been performing to the level of the sort of games at the back end of obviously the season we had him before January to the end of the season, where he scored 7-8 in a row. We didn't see that last season. And we hadn't seen it at the start of this season, but the last 2 games, he's slowly getting back to the Joe Willock of driving forward, tracking back, and making stuff happen. And that's what we've missed, because it works with Miggy, Trippier, Joe Willock, and Miggy down the right-hand side. Or then if you flip him, he then backs up Murphy very, very well and gives Murphy someone to rely on, because he's absolutely rapid. And I didn't realise how quick Joe Willock was, and I think we saw it against I think we saw it against Kyle Walker, didn't we, in the Man City game when he absolutely left him for dead. But he's been passing us all by at the moment, and we've not been giving him any sort of praise. But the last 2 games, I think he's really, really turned it back on. That's the only reason he was my man of the match, but very close second.
Still very
good.
Yeah. I think Miggy, for me, the reason why I'd say it was Miggy was because when he scored to kill that game off. It was a pivotal goal, and the way he took it after he had quite a lot of criticism at the start of the season and the off season, he took that goal really, really well. Out of nothing, the Miggy of last season would have taken 2 or 3 touches and not had the confidence to hit it on the first time on the volley. And because he did, he absolutely, you could see their hearts just breaking. And then we scored the third. It was Longstaff, and he just completely punished them all match. But you're right. I mean, there's a hair between the two of them, and it's a great situation to be in that there's so many people contending to be man of the match.
No, massively, because you could turn around and say Sven Botman, he won 100% of his ground duels, 100% of his air duels, didn't get dribbled past once, made every single one of his tackles, and you sit there and you think, okay, there's man of the match candidate straight away, and that's why it's so nice to think.
Has Botman even lost an aerial duel yet in all the games that he's played? Because that stat was up a few weeks ago that in all the games he played, he'd never lost an aerial duel. I think he maybe has lost maybe one at this point now, but again, yesterday didn't lose any. And
I haven't seen it yet.
I love Botman.
I don't even think people go for a header against him anymore.
They just know,
What I really like about Botman is that him and Cher complement each other really well. Cher's always been kind of derided a little bit for not quite being on it defensively. I know there's a few years back when he was becoming a little bit of a liability, very rash. He got that red card, if you remember, when he was sent off and stuff like that. And, it was all element of like a rashness to his game. But now, he's not 100% perfect, but when he's paired with Botman, I just always feel like they're in total control of that back line.
Botman covers him as well, really well. I think Cher to have more confidence. Remember, Cher was playing with Lascelles, and we saw exactly what happened when Lascelles and Jamal Lewis came on.
Yeah,
that was frustrating for me. That was
the biggest part. What's changed Shah's game is partnering alongside Lascelles, right? Lascelles is a right-sided centre half. So is Shah. Yes, Shah playing on the left-hand side for the last couple of seasons has not worked. It's an absolute liability. Everything he needs to check back to his right foot and clip the ball. It's not as playing with 2 right-footed players on the right and 2 left-footed players on the left is so much more balanced. Allowing him as simply as just going like that has completely transformed his game for the better, and it's so what's the word I'm looking for? There's so much more fluidity in Shah's game instead of trying to cut back on that right foot, clip the ball.
It makes it more natural for him, doesn't it? Yeah,
because he was taking too long. The ball was getting nicked, and that was his mistake every game. And there was a mistake every single game for Fabian Shah, and at the moment he's fantastic.
Yeah.
What do you think about Mighty Mag's comment about Tyndall? See, now I'm not really. When you look for all the lore in the club at the moment, what's going on with the backroom staff, I've not actually thought about or heard much about Tyndall's role in the club. Do you guys know much?
He is the best right-hand man to have on a touchline. I'm not sure if any of you have been close enough to hear it, but he is non-stop like that. Eddie Howe shouts what he needs to do. He's the manager. We understand that, but everything goes through Tyndall when it's not a major instruction. Everything is through Tyndall, and he is as good speaking that way as he is speaking that way, because he winds the other technical technical boss up so much.
We seem to be getting into this little thing with various technical areas recently. There was a little bit of it yesterday as well.
With Silver.
And I think Joe's right. It's maybe down to Tyndall being very, very vocal, because in previous seasons we've just been walked all over in regards to, Bruce would never stand up for us. Too much of a nice guy.
Yeah,
but
he is a massive massive wind up on the sideline, and I think that's what we need. We need a nasty side, and he's got that. He winds them up. They get angry. Their instructions get angrier to the pitch, and he's just sitting there smiling, happy as Larry.
Yeah. It's just fascinating to watch. I just love our club at the minute. I was just thinking there when you were talking how much I really want Eddie and Tyndall and all the rest of the backroom staff to succeed. Like, I actually love this setup at the minute. I'm so happy with it. And the players will come and go. We understand that. We're not through the kind of even the first phase of kind of upgrading yet. But
100%.
The actual, setup itself with the owners and the new management, management, and then these guys below with Eddie and Jason and the team. It's just like you want them to succeed. And Eddie's just so like, how can I word it? Like, just every fine detail is like, he reminds me, do you know who he reminds me of in that sense, but a bit more of an attacking version? Rafa. How Rafa would just ultimately just know every single thing about the opposition, and just like, every little trick and that you could do to kind of win a game. We've seen it so far. We've seen it with the kind of in-game management of, especially a few weeks back earlier in the season. There was a lot of like in-game management when we were 1-0 up, and trying to get a 3 points or a draw or whatever, by feigning injury or just not, we call it in-game management these days. Having a breather. But little things like this, and even like what George just said there about Jason, like kind of wind up the opposition box. It all ties in with this kind of like mentality of like, we're going to do every single thing that we can do to like win this game of football. A result. Yeah. And long may it continue. And I really hope we get to see them doing, winning some silverware, because at the minute I can't picture anyone else apart from Eddie and Jason, being up there holding the trophy. That's what I want, man.
I'll tell you what.
This season. And remember, I think we're going to push on in January as well for cup runs and for the league, because remember, we'll have the training ground finished. They're still training on a building site. Near enough. I know it's not a building site, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, when we get that slight upgrade, and then obviously in the next few years they'll do this, I can't wait to see that as well. That's gonna be fantastic. But going on to the silverware thing, the elation and the emotion that this club will feel when we get to, even if it be a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup or something like that, just to win something and have that pride, it will be the most amazing feeling to think finally we can, because we've been ignoring and neglecting cups for so long, and now with this team we're getting, obviously we're not, like you say, we're not through even the first stage of the players and stuff like that, but we have got a little bit more depth now, bringing in the likes of Isaac and stuff like that. You can then go Chris Wood, you're going to play in the cups, where it would have been Wilson that's why he was getting injured all the time, because he was playing midweek in a cup game, then Saturday, and then a Friday night, and then a Sunday or something like that, and it was the workload was way too much. And even if it's a small amount of depth, we've still probably got enough now to, like you say, Neil, kick on this season in a cup and see how far we can get.
I think it'll be the domino that we need, Joe. I think that first cup will be, what was City's first cup?
The Carabao.
It's the Carabao. And
Carabao
I think
Cup.
Once they get a taste of it, because this unit of players, it's the first time that they're actually a team that's going to fight for them. And we did do it under Rafa, but it was different circumstances. It was, we're fighting for our lives to get out of the championship. Whereas this is, we're fighting because we know we belong to the middle to the top end of the table. And we're going to show everyone.
The ambition, isn't it? And that's what I was going to mention earlier in the show, that like, I always do this, the classic line of, I think you know by now, but to run a successful football club, you've got to have both hope and ambition. And without either of them two, there's not much point of, even trying. And you'll never have success without hope or ambition. Doesn't matter what league you're in. You could be in League One, League Two, whatever. But if you've got those two things, hope in your heart for players and fans, and also ambition, seeping down from the owners too. If you've got them, anything is possible, man. And obviously a huge, massive wedge of cash as well to back it up.
There is that.
Yeah,
you've got that.
It does help. But I can't think of any owners in the league. I can't think of any owners in the top 3 or 4 leagues in Europe that I'd want instead of ours.
No, you can't. I can't.
All the controversy that comes with it is all worth the ambition and hope that they give us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, man.
And hopefully they can learn some lessons from working with us as a club.
Yeah.
Before we get way into that, we're here to talk football, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it is a difficult subject sometimes, but like I think for me personally, I've always compartmentalized it. Like I'm still very much aware of everything what's going on, but we as fans have our own lives to lead, and
exactly.
This is our hobby, this is our escapism, and ultimately, we feel so passionate about it, we can't help it. Sometimes we don't even know why we like football, like why are we so passionate about it. It's one of them amazing sports that just grabs you as a kid and will never ever let you go. You know what I mean? So at a personal level, we just want success. It's all we want before we leave this realm, whenever that may be. You just want to see your team win something. And I have this like reoccurring vision of not like a kind of like crazy vision where I'm like, like zoning out or anything, but more like a kind of pipe dream. I want to see us, do like a pitch invasion. Like, I know we've had a lot of talk about pitch invasions in recent seasons, but I think the football world will allow us one, seeing so we've waited like 60 years or something for a bit of success. But I just have this vision of like, being stood next to my best mate, or even just like randomers and just like charging, down onto the pitch and just like
everyone's your best mate in
that's it, man.
That's the thing.
St. James's, whether we like, obviously it's more likely to be at Wembley or something, but just like whatever, man. I just want some kind of crazy pitch invasion, or I feel obviously if we're in the league, it would be at St. James's. You'd get that kind of event happening there. But yeah, I just dream of that day of just like going on that pitch, like that hallowed turf, but like madness, ensuing, and we finally win a trophy.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, 100%. But one thing I'm actually loving about this season is talking about the hope. Actually, there's hope, and there's an outside chance of us being able to achieve something like that.
Yeah,
and more than that, I'm loving the fact that I don't have dread before a match.
That's it.
That's the biggest
thing. More dread.
Am I avoiding? Like, my friends used to laugh at me because every single time we got a decent result, I'd put on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, Operation Avoid Match of the Day aborted, right? Because I wouldn't want to watch the car crash that would happen
100%.
when we played badly. And now not feeling that dread and having hope is nice.
It is, isn't it, man? I love it. I love not having, especially when I travel from Durham and stuff, like the return journey. And I've said this on other podcasts, was sometimes so spiritually draining. If we had a defeat night to travel all the way back, I'd say all the way back. It's only a 15-minute train ride, but then you get the taxi home after that, and it took you a couple of hours roughly to get back by the time you have had a pint, and you're just thinking like, why did I do that? Like, why was I there? And I was talking to Alex Hurst about this a few weeks back. Like, we'd lost we were like robots. Like, we were still supporting. Yeah, zombies. Yeah, zombies and robots. Zombie robots. That's what we were like. Just like programmed. Like, we were still just doing this ritual, no matter who was in charge of the team, who was still owner, Mike Ashley. But like, we just couldn't stop. And obviously it's our people's hobby. People want to, support the team that they love. But like the enjoyment and the fun factor had completely gone. For me, I had periods where, I was on and off of not going, with us being a member rather than a season ticket holder. I had that choice. But like, it was, it's just nice to be able to go with hope in your heart and have some fun. And, like the dread factor is gone. Like, you're not like rolling your eyes, like when you see the team being announced on a Saturday afternoon and you're thinking, oh God, these are going to kick our ass tonight or, this afternoon. And it's just amazing, isn't it? Just we're just happy with that. Never mind winning a silverware. You know what I mean? We're just happy that we can go and enjoy ourselves and actually, you know, a win doesn't have to be a one-off. You know, far too many times over the last 14 years, a win was just like a one-off. Like, you know, there was nothing to look forward to the next week because you just thought, well, we've won this week. It's highly likely that we're not going to win next week. Whereas now we can actually put runs of form together and, you know, we can just, it's just amazing, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, no, literally that. You've just summed it up better than I could.
Yeah, I love me little monologues while going. When I get talking like that, it's just like I can't stop it, man. It's just like I have this like vision of like we will win trophies before like I leave this realm, and I will get a pitch invasion before I leave this realm. You know what I mean? It's like that's what I want.
Manifest it, and
that's what I'm doing, man. Come. I was talking to Mick C the other week about manifesting. He's manifesting a gig at Wonderbar, and I'm going a little bit higher in manifesting the pitch invasion. So you got to have these dreams.
You got to have big dreams.
Yeah, man. But just to finally, before because we never touched on before, what a finish by Miggy was a great goal, wasn't it, man? It was. It told you what it reminded me of the Shearer volley against Villa all them years ago. Obviously, Miggy didn't stand still afterwards, so he didn't have the whole like kind of effect like that. But it was such a strike.
You could have placed it in.
Yeah. It was just that one was against Villa, wasn't it? I think it was St James's Park. But it reminded me a little bit of that. It wasn't carbon copy, but it did remind me of that. The kind of like. Nonchalant way he just did it as well, and just like there you go.
And I've said he's all left foot before, but what a left foot!
What a left foot he has. And my jaw was on the floor. Actually, I was just like literally like what? I was like watching on a tiny little phone. I was like, is that flown in? Like what?
I was outside Nemesis. Streaming it,
ready to go on the roller coaster. Yeah,
oh my word!
more in shock about the goal than he was the ride, wasn't he?
That's mid.
Do you want to go on this one, Dan? No, you're all right. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Miggy scored. I'm good.
Crack on without me. Well, guys, listen, we've done an hour there. It's been another amazing show, man.
Brilliant.
It's I'm so happy to do our first kind of full-time whistle after a victory. It's been much more fun than previous shows. I think it kind of feels like we've just like had a weight off, haven't we? You know, it's like it's exactly what we want to see. But man. Well, listen, guys, who have we got next week? Brentford. We'll hopefully do another victory show next week. Both welcome back, and we'll see if we can get a few other faces on maybe.
Another X2 player as well, Ben.
Sorry,
we got through this week with 2 X2 players. Babu and Mitrovic. Now we've got Tony to face next week.
Yeah,
hopefully he chokes as well.
The Mitrovic one,
he was in Botman's pocket.
Yeah, and I was saying in the lead up to it because I saw the ice pack on his leg about 48 hours before, and they kept it very quiet in the Fulham pre-match presser on Friday. They were saying like, oh no, it's fine, like no big deal. And I'm thinking, well, you can't be too fine. Because this guy it wasn't just the ice pack, it was a limp too. He was limping. So when he was starting, I thought, has he just like really been like, look, you've got to play me. It's just like my big chance. I'm in form. This is my ex-team. I want to play. And he just didn't look fit from the off. He was throwing himself to the ground a bit. Just didn't seem very strong. Didn't seem very mobile. And then when did he get hooked? Was it like 30 minutes or something like that? 30 minutes?
Yeah, maybe even earlier than that.
Something like that, wasn't it? And I just knew he wasn't fit, man. Nobody that could be limping like that 48 hours previous with the ice pack on the leg should have been starting a game. 48 hours later, man.
Because he's been in sensational form. But just quickly, remember when everyone was saying that we should have re-signed Kevin and Babu? He looked he looked like a fish out of water yesterday. He did, man. Yeah, I don't think, and he's getting older as well. I think a few years ago he had a bit of potential. I mean, he's still not old. I forget what he is, maybe 26, 27. But like kind of a few years back, he had that like really successful period, and people were saying, "Oh, we've missed a trick here." But he didn't look that fantastic yesterday, did he? I think he's not something that I'm too bothered about missing out on.
I think Gerrard's lost the plot as well after tonight.
I thought you were going to say Gerrard's lost his job there.
No. There was an interview that he done after the game, and it was someone commenting on about the that young lad Cameron Archer, because they're struggling to score goals, aren't they? And they've got that young lad that's been scoring for fun for like England under 21s or something like that. And the interviewer asked on his lack of game time, what's going on? Is something happening? He's only done one session in a while. You're a fan of Cameron, aren't you? Or are you a mate or family? There's something going on, because I promise you, you've asked about 25 questions this year and 19 of them have been on this Cameron Archer. You're a fan, aren't you? A big fan.
Wow. Gerard, that's lost the plot.
Well, he's one of your
overrated manager.
Yeah.
That's I like that. That's really. I'm going to have a bit of research and watch that clip after we come off air. Sounds interesting.
You know what? We should buy Cameron Archer for our 21.
Another youth player. That's
the only thing that I was disappointed about. Just 4-1 up. That would have been the game to have Santi on the bench to bring on.
Santi Muniz. Yeah.
That would have been great. Man. Well, guys, listen, thanks again. Really great show tonight. We'll see what's happening this week. Had a bit of a quiet week. The week just gone with the guests and that. Just needed a bit of time to rest and recover after a busy few weeks of setting up the channel. But we'll see if we can get a guest on this week. And if not, we'll definitely do a full-time whistle next week. Might make it a bit of an anniversary special. See who we can get on for that, and hopefully we'll be, discussing a victory. And if not, we'll just have a big crack about how far we've come in the past year and kind of elaborate on what we briefly touched on tonight. We'll leave it there, guys. Listen, for everyone listening and watching, please like and subscribe, help the channel grow. Getting 50 followers this week, so that was good. Shows the channel's still going strong. Can't do it without your support, so please keep liking and subscribing. Really do appreciate it. And we'll see what happens in the future. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks again to our two mates there, Neil and Joe. And we'll see you very soon, guys.
See you soon, guys.
Bye, everyone.
All the best. See you later.